Hello, I'm Erica, and welcome to Shame Over, where you truly can learn to lose the hangover, not the booze. If that at all sounds of interest, you're in the perfect place. Today, we are going to talk about the post-holiday blues, but especially coming off of a holiday weekend. Here, I just had Memorial Day weekend, and I see so often, I used to be this myself, so please, no judgment, no that. When it's a holiday, it is our excuse to let loose, to completely go all in. A lot of times, for example, when it comes to drinking, okay, I'm only going to drink on the weekends, but then it's going to be a big weekend, right? And I'll see people constantly getting into that loop, especially with the prevalence of dry January and sober October. And don't get me wrong, I love those if you do the work while you're participating in it. If all you're doing is trying to not drink during that process, a lot of times you're going to rebound right after your dry period's over and make up for lost time. And that is not what you want. That's not what your body wants. It's, in a sense, not entirely pointless, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, what we're really going to focus on today is just that. After the holiday weekend, especially long weekends, a lot of times you're going to feel down or depressed or maybe a little anxious, have some lack of motivation. That is entirely normal. A lot of this can be attributed not only to all the excitement and the energy around this holiday weekend, but also the behaviors that we participated in. We probably were drinking more or socializing more, or maybe weren't as great about how we were eating or taking care of our body, our sleep, any of that. So if you are going through any of this, please know you're not alone. I have been there a million times myself, so I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. I know the fun that you can have, but also the shame, guilt, regret, all that shit that you can have too. What I really want to focus on, and the whole point of Shame Over and not only this podcast, but my membership and everything that we do together, is we learn how to moderate, but most of all, how to take care of ourselves and fill our emotional cups before we fill our physical ones. So, what a lot of people I don't think realize, if I were to ask everyone that's seeing this, if you're a binge drinker, I'm sure a lot less people would say that they are than who actually are. When I think of binge drinking, I think of like just completely shit faced, right? Actually, not the case. Binge drinking for women is only four or more drinks in one sitting. And by one sitting, that's basically over a 2 hour period of time. Four. Okay, now if I ask you, are you a binge drinker ever? Yeah, I think that number just went up. For men, that's typically 5 drinks over the 2 hour period. But again, a lot of us are binge drinking and we don't even realize it. Studies show there's a significant rise in binge drinking, especially during holiday weekends. And that is for so many different reasons. Again, the excitement, the environment, the atmosphere that we're around. But more than anything, it's our mindset. It is our excuse to let loose, to indulge, to take the time off, to relax, to whatever that looks like to us. Because not only have we seen that probably our whole lives, whether it's with our family or our friends or where we went to school or the community that we grew up in, if you've ever watched TV or movies, that is all a part of celebration and fun and relaxing. And alcohol is always involved. So, of course, it's going to be something that we're used to being around, but also used to overindulging in, right? So again, the whole point of this is just to bring awareness, not to make you feel bad, not to make you doubt or question or anything yourself in a negative way, but instead, let's just start getting curious. So I'm sure we all know from school, from living life, there's a lot of negative consequences of binge drinking, not only the short term feeling like shit, the hangover, the headaches, the nausea, maybe the blacking out, the putting ourselves in bad situations, the not quite sure what we did or said or how we got home or what actually happened last night. I've been there a lot. We also have increase in liver disease. Fatty liver disease is the highest it's ever been in history, but especially for younger people. That is crazy. People, I'm not quite 40 yet. People in their 30s are dying of liver disease from drinking alcohol, even in their 20s. And yes, this has always happened. There's so many different reasons for alcoholism and, you know, everything along those lines, but it is so much more common now than ever before, especially in a post-pandemic world. And again, there's so much behind that. And I think that there's going to be a ton of research that comes out after the fact, just talking about why that is and how we all have used alcohol to cope, to deal with stress, to deal with life. So outside of the increased risk of not only, liver disease, cancer, all of these big scary things, it is also impacting our mental health, short term and long term. I'm talking anxiety, anxiety. If you've ever thought of that or heard of that term, it's a real thing. If you feel anxious, whether you're hungover or not, you have that like kind of anxiety the next day after drinking. That is actually a real thing. It's your body's way of trying to get rid of the toxins and the poison that you put in it. And it impacts our hormones and our cortisol levels and all of that, which leads to feeling anxious. So over time, a lot of anxiety can obviously lead to depression, much bigger things than that. So it all matters. The big thing that I really want to focus on is why we are turning to alcohol, why we are binge drinking. One, if you're drinking more than, the couple that you're intending to, that is so normal. That is alcohol doing its job. So there's nothing wrong with you. That is alcohol doing its job of actually impacting the body and brain, making you want more, turning off your sensors of maybe this isn't a good idea. It is doing its job. So when you are going to be drinking, especially planning ahead for holiday weekends, for long weekends, for vacation, all these times when we think immediately drinking and vacation, drinking and football, drinking and baseball season, all of this goes hand in hand. Just start to get curious and plan around it. Why are you using it? Is it to cope with negative emotions? Is it as a positive thing? Is it fun? Is it a reward? Is it a stress reliever? All of these different things we need to just understand. Don't judge them. Just stay neutral, but understand why you're drinking. Is it out of habit? Is it because everyone else is doing it? There are probably a ton of different reasons. Again, it's just really understanding what it is for you. The festive atmosphere is so big. It not only encourages, this uplift of fun, especially for those who are maybe a little bit more introverted. Alcohol can be used as our liquid long johns, if you will, to get us, more in the mood, to make us feel a little bit more outgoing, to put our guard down a little bit. Alcohol is so much more readily available, not only during holidays, but it's summer now. It's going to be everywhere all the time. It's hot. What do you want? A nice cold drink. What are those drinks typically? Alcoholic beverages. When it's this easy to access, it is that much easier to drink in excess. And the whole reason why you're here is because you want to stop doing that. Where you want to focus is all about your mindset. So with this, a lot of us go in with this all or nothing mentality. It's all right, well, I've already started drinking, so might as well just continue, right? Kind of like for any of us out there, especially women, but not going to discount the men too, who have ever tried a diet in your life. Diet always starts Monday. And what do you do until Monday? You are binging out because you're never going to eat it again, right? No, just me. I don't know. So with that, understand that that mindset is really making it that much more difficult for you. It's making that transition from the excitement to the regular routines so much more drastic and so much more of a roller coaster, which probably leaves you feeling maybe empty, maybe disappointed, underwhelmed, just exasperated. It only makes the problem worse. So the biggest thing that you can really do as you're starting to understand your relationship with alcohol, what you believe around it, how you feel, what it does, why you personally like it, what it does for you, Start getting curious and pay attention to your mindset. What is your mindset? And a lot of times drinking can be so habitual, we're not even thinking about it. It is way ingrained in us, right? Are you at all looking at it that, the back to the diet example, are you looking at it in the mentality that, well, if I can't stick to my diet perfectly, might as well not do it at all. Again, diet starts Monday. Or are you thinking, well, I was only planning on drinking two. I've already had three, so screw it. Let's go all out tonight, right? This is what leads to the extremes. I'm going to drink. I might as well drink a lot. I hear so often, especially when I'm recommending the booze-free options to people. So often they're like, if I'm not going to get a buzz, why am I going to drink? And yes, I understand that. That was me too. But again, this all comes back down to your mindset. These cycles of the excessive behavior are probably making you feel full of guilt, of regret, of shame. Any of these coming through, you're starting to lose trust in yourself. None of this is good for our mental or physical health, right? So how can we not only make a shift, so we're shifting from that all or nothing black or white mindset to one of a growth mindset. You guys have probably heard that a lot. But also, how does that impact the drinking? And that's what we're going to dive into right now. So if you're not aware, the growth mindset is really the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, anything that really has to do with you can be developed, whether it's through effort, through learning, through persistence. I have two young kids, so we're kind of into the 8 twist, depending on the week. But think of yourself as a scientist. You are there to get curious, to learn, to evolve, to see what works, to see what doesn't. That is the whole purpose of why we're here. But especially around this drinking thing or any habit that you're trying to change, get curious. When you have the curious mindset, you see it with the growth, yes. It will help you to approach the challenges and see them as opportunities, not as obstacles to avoid. Okay, I'm going to say that again. When you have this growth mindset, when you approach things from the curiosity standpoint, you are looking at it as an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to learn, instead of as an obstacle to avoid. When we avoid things, it's still there, right? Nothing is going to get better if we can't figure it out, if we can't learn, if we can't evolve. So do what you can to just get curious about it, learn why does this work for them and not for me? Why is this harder for me when it worked for me last week? Get curious about it. It can get frustrating, I fully understand, but when you have that growth mindset, you're going to get frustrated and hit plateaus a lot less because you're constantly excited about it. It's going to keep you motivated, it's going to keep you engaged. It's going to keep it more fun. What's the point of being here if we're not having fun, right? So approach it as an opportunity, as a challenge to overcome, not as an obstacle to avoid. This is going to help you with resilience, with adaptability, with this personal outlook, and just positivity in all areas. You're going to notice what a huge transformation this makes on pretty much everything. So, something practical for you to take away with all of this is, again, embrace the changes, the challenges, the difficulties, celebrate the wins. I don't care how big or small they are, but celebrate them. Again, you're learning, you're evolving. Any win, no matter how big or small, is a win. That's exciting. If you focus on those wins, if you do fall off the path, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get back on and stay the course when you have that positive or that growth mindset. Once you're like, well, screw it, that's when it's so much easier to just be like, well, look, I already screwed up the weekend. Might as well, another day's not going to hurt anyone. You guys see that? Have you ever been in those patterns? I know I sure as hell have. So if that is you, this is the perfect practice for you. And I'm glad I said that word. It is practice. That's exactly what this is. Just like with yoga, just like with mindfulness, just like with lifting weights or anything that you're doing, even in your career. Everything that we practice, we get good at. So if you want to get better at this, if you want to strengthen this muscle, then practice. And look at the most incredible athletes in the world. They show up to practice no matter what. They can't give their 100% every single day, but they keep showing up. And that is what matters. And that is how they're able to perform crazy, unbelievable levels because they're constantly showing up and they're constantly pushing themselves and trying to learn what works, what doesn't. It is no different in this area for you than it is in that area for them. And you can do this in any area of your life that you're trying to change to improve. With that, practice self-compassion. Not only are we talking about like being kind to yourself, but how do you talk about yourself to yourself, but also to others? How do you self-deprecating humor? Are you belittling yourself or ever putting yourself down or putting yourself off to the wayside, right? How we treat ourselves, especially when we're alone, tells us the kind of relationship that we have with ourselves. And I know you can be like, Erica, what does my drinking have to do with how I speak to myself? It has a lot. It has a lot. And I can tell you that when you're hungover, what do you say? Oh my God, I'm never going to drink again. That was the worst decision ever. Then someone calls later that day, next day, that weekend. Hey, you want to go out? Sure, let's do this. That's completely out the window. When that's happening, you're starting to lose trust in yourself and your word, understandably so, even if it's subconscious. But then you start to throw in that guilt, that shame, that, God, I hate myself. Why do I keep doing this? And you're beating yourself up. Switch that again to, what can I learn from this? Okay, last night was not a good night. Okay, what did I do well? What did I not do? What can I do next time to set myself up for success? Because clearly I failed to do that last night. See it as that. But again, it's all about the mindset shift, right? I do have a free worksheet. If you go to my website, shameover.me/TMA. So the morning after is what it stands for. This worksheet is so huge, not only the morning after a bad day, when, maybe you didn't set yourself up for success because you didn't make a plan or you didn't stick to the plan or whatever. This will help you figure out exactly why, that didn't work. But even more importantly, it is so beneficial for after a great experience. So maybe you had, like this past weekend, I had, I think 4 drinks total over the holiday weekend. 2 one day, 2 another day. The other 2 days didn't drink at all. That would normally be one night out plus free shame over, Erica. I can make a blueprint for success by looking at everything I did right. So what did I do? Did I make a plan? Did I have booze-free options ready to go so there's no excuse? It was easy for me to grab them. They were already cold or they were already, easy for me to pick. Did I only bring cash instead of a card? What are these things that I did that made me successful? When you come up with this morning after plan, you are going to have a blueprint for success that is copy and paste. Here's what I did. This worked great. This didn't work. So let's avoid that or try not to do that in the future. Copy and paste. There you go. You can create your own blueprint for success. It is incredible. So again, shameover.me/TMA for the morning after. Free worksheet. Highly recommend. Do it as many times as you need, but it is incredible. And again, you can use this when it comes to anything that you're trying to change or improve on. So if it is your eating habits or your diet or workout routine, if it's your mindfulness exercise or journaling or how you show up at work as a parent with your partner in life, whatever it is, you can use this as a way to help you understand quickly and easily what works and what doesn't, so you can copy and paste the good and get rid of the bad. So outside of that, kind of just brought it up, but other things when you are coming down from these post-holiday blues, try to understand, show yourself that love and grace, because even if it wasn't the physical drinking, you still could have the emotional hangover, if you will, from it. So it's really important to focus on incorporating regular exercise, even if that is just walking. Getting fresh air is the most incredible thing you can do. Again, it doesn't have to be like a run or a big hit exercise or anything like that. It can just be a walk out in nature and enjoying it. Balanced diets, we all know how important that is. Adequate sleep, so crucial. And then I brought up a second ago, meditation or mindfulness practices. Not only does it help with our mood, it helps to reduce stress. And the reason why all these I'm bringing up right now is when we are drinking, especially heavily, how often does our exercise, our diet, our sleep, meditation or mindfulness, that all goes to the wayside, right? So I'm putting these back in focus as things that you can put on your to-do list of what I want to focus on this summer, or, as I move forward. With that, set reasonable goals. Make it as small, I like to say sip-sized chunks, so it can be something that you can easily not only accomplish, but stick with. That is, I think, one of the biggest things I see, and why so many people fail, not only with dry January or sober October, but also New Year's resolutions. It's because we're trying to make these huge, big, drastic changes in such a small period of time. Can you do it? Yeah, absolutely. But the chances of it being a lifelong, long-term thing, very slim to none. So why not work up to that? If I said, okay, you are going to go run a marathon tomorrow, be like, yeah, you're out of your damn mind. But if I said, you have a year, can you do it? Whether you're like, yeah or no, I mean, I'm not a runner, I couldn't do it. But could I try? Absolutely. What would I do? I would start walking. Okay, we'll start walking 3 days a week. Then we're gonna start 5 days a week. Then we're gonna start doing a walk run during those 5 days. And we're gonna build up. Do the same thing here. So much of our habits can be, look at a time you've been successful. That's a better way I want to say it. Look at a time that you've been successful before, whether it was, accomplishing a race or something like that, if it was in sports or in school or in your career or anything it is. Find a time that you had been successful before. And it doesn't have to be this big, huge, miraculous thing. But if you go back and look, there were all these little things you did along the way to get there. Don't discount that. Don't diminish it. Look at this as an opportunity to do the exact same thing, right? Plan ahead, work the plan and work backwards. I like to always think of, okay, here's the ending point where you want to be. Here's where you are now. How can we work backwards to get there? I'm starting Sip and Savor Summer on June 1st, which is coming up here. What, 2 days, 3 days? I don't even know. It is all about that. Coming up with where we want to be by Labor Day, coming up with that goal, then I help you create the plan, working backwards on exactly how to get there. With this whole coming off of a holiday weekend, now it's summer, it's kind of like the whole summer's, holiday weekend mentality, at least in the beginning, it feels that way. Just remember a few of the key points we talked about, mainly behind what binge drinking actually is. One thing I hadn't said that I would strongly encourage everyone to do is know exactly what moderation means to you, what that looks like, what it feels like. And then again, that would be your end goal, and then work backwards from there. From here's what I want, here's where I am now. So how can I slowly get there? With that, it's all about your mindset. have the growth mindset, be your little Ada Twist scientist and see it as your growth opportunity, your opportunity to evolve, to just learn and become a better version of you. So that is all I have for you today. Please, please, please take a second to just reflect on your own drinking habits, on your mindset. Start, even if it's just this week. You don't have to make any changes right now. Get curious about it. Start listening to how you talk about yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you talk about yourself to other people. Start just listening and being a part of the experience and getting curious about your drinking and when you drink, when you want to drink. Is there a certain time of day that you're always like, you're starting to think about it? All of these things matter, but the first thing you can do is just get curious about it. So with that, again, if you want the free worksheet, go to shameover.me/TMA for the morning after worksheet. And I'm here if you need anything, would love to help you learn to drink less, transform your relationship with alcohol, really work on your mindfulness. When you are mindful, you are present, you are engaged, you are there. You can't be anxious if you're actually present and in the moment. You, when you're worrying about other things, you're either living in the past or the future, right? Use this time to, again, just be curious and in the moment. That is where this growth is going to happen because that's what your mindset is allowing it to do. With that, just remember you deserve it. You're worth it. Your future self thanks you. And I hope to see you here next time. Cheers.